Marquis Carlson eyed Aldrich with concern. "Your Majesty, it has been 4 days since Bronwyn and King Henry were prevented from leaving the palace. People will soon find out that the King of the Celestial Isles is being trapped in the capital of Elisaria. If this risky situation continues, it will escalate into an international crisis. I beg of you, my king, even if you confine Bronwyn, King Henry must be released soon." Aldrich closed his eyes, gently pressing his fingers against his temple. "The Celestial Isles' power is not to be taken lightly, Your Majesty. You cannot allow our relationship with them to sour, even if your relationship with Bronwyn has." Aldrich turned slowly towards Marquis Carlson, who did not look away, but instead held his gaze firm. He put his country before all things, including his king. Aldrich stared at him, as if daring him to say more. "What is it you really want to say, Carlson? It is not like you to stop spewing nonsense before crossing the line." "Well, Your Majesty, I believe you should send a gift." "Please, I must have misheard you. What did you just dare to say to me?" "Henry's marriage to Bronwyn is a marriage between our two countries. A congratulatory gift would show your generosity." The tension in the room was palpable, and although Marquis Carlson held steadfast to his position, small beads of sweat began to appear on his forehead. He did not need to express his true opinion in order for Aldrich to gather what it was. Marquis Carlson, supposedly his trusted secretary, was siding with his ex-wife. Aldrich's eyes darkened. "I simply believe it would be a conciliatory measure for the future of our nations. If Bronwyn were treated as the esteemed noble daughter of Elisaria rather than the divorced queen, the future between our nations may be salvageable. Did you not have gifts sent to Miss Rose from your wife when she arrived?" Aldrich had heard enough. He had finally snapped and met his hand to Marquis Carlson's cheek with a violent strike. "What is your position here? Who do you love? Who are you here to serve?" "I am here to serve Elisaria, Your Majesty, as are you. But you seem to have forgotten that." "Shut your mouth! You speak out of turn!" With that, Aldrich lunged forward, his face a shade of red Marquis Carlson had never seen before. Aldrich didn't even realize that his hands were latched around his chief secretary's throat. "This is my kingdom, and you serve me! Do you hear me? Answer me! Answer me, Carlson!" Carlson. Aldrich began to shake his secretary, who was unresponsive. It was to no avail. Aldrich had gotten what he asked for. Carlson would no longer speak out of turn. "Oh my God! What have I done?" He looked down at his hands, which were shaking uncontrollably. Ah! At a loss for words, Aldrich tore up his room, pounding his fists on any surface he could find. Only when he made eye contact with the regal silver bird in its cage did he quiet himself. It stared at him, as if it knew what he had done, who he really was. "You have truly driven me to madness, Bronwyn." Aldrich came to his senses the best he could, and decided he must get his enemies out of his palace. From there, he would call upon Baron Lant to help him clean up this situation with Marquis Carlson. Aldrich left his room in complete panic. He beckoned a servant from down the hall and barked orders at him. "Get Baron Lant here immediately, and tell him not to enter my chamber until I am there to let him in. And get one of your colleagues to bring me Duke Elegy. There is a matter I must discuss with him." The servant nodded and began to scurry away when a voice rang out from behind them. "Looking for me, Your Majesty?" As if he were a dog who came when called, Duke Elegy appeared from around the corner. Aldrich shooed away the servant. "Well, just get Baron Lant then. Go!" "What matter did you want to discuss with me, Your Majesty?" "I hear you're friends with King Henry." "Yes, Your Majesty. We've known each other since childhood." "And you are aware of my strained relationship with the Celestial King?" "Well, yes, I'm afraid that is no secret." "I can't keep the Celestial King prisoner here for long. I want you to go to the Western Palace and fetch King Henry." The wheels spun in Duke Elegy's mind, and he finally grasped Aldrich's motive. Duke Elegy, as Henry's friend, would not have his intentions questioned if he demanded the king's release. This would allow Aldrich to retain some of his pride, while protecting Elisaria from war. "Very well. What about Bronwyn?" "It's King Henry that is urgently needed in the Celestial Isles now, not Bronwyn." "Yes, Your Majesty. Your wish is my command." "Where are all my servants?" "We're here, Your Majesty." "Summon my secretaries. Tell them to find a law that prohibits a queen from remarrying. Scour every document available. Do it now!" Duke Elegy looked out the window of his horse-drawn carriage, troubled thoughts racing through his mind. He was forced to disappoint someone, and he considered himself a master of playing all angles. Do I ignore Aldrich's request and release Bronwyn as well, potentially losing favor of the King of Elisaria? Or do I obey him and potentially lose the favor of the King of the Celestial Isles? He tapped his cheek as he thought about what would be best for himself. He alone was his only true ally.
Desperation lingered as I paced the corridor, eyeing the impenetrable wall of knights. How could we break through that fortress? Hope seemed distant. The knights scrutinized every entrance and exit, leaving no room for a concealed escape. Going over the wall would surely prove futile, and the carriage route was blocked. Our only choice, as Henry said, was to wait for the Celestial Isles' official complaint. Remarrying suddenly felt selfish. The fact that Henry's name was now stained because of my actions weighed heavily on my heart. A peculiar sight caught my eye as I passed a window. A black carriage was breaking through the barricade. How can this be? My heart raced as I ran to the front gate, without even bothering to put my shoes on. Duke Elegy. The Duke's unexpected presence hinted at Aldrich's involvement. I approached him cautiously.
Greetings! How are you?
Are you here to see Henry?
Yes. How's Henry doing?
Did the king send you?
The Duke glanced away, and then caught my eye and smiled.
You really do have a sharp intuition. I've always suspected that.
Before you meet with Henry, I want to talk to you.
Well, that's not the king's wish.
No, it is mine.
I'll do it if you command me.
Let us walk. I took him to a part of the garden that was not often used, looking around to confirm that no one else was there. Duke Elegy burst into laughter, as if he found my behaviour amusing.
So, what's the secret?
Something that people don't know. Something that I hope my family doesn't know more about.
I'm looking forward to it.
He walked slowly towards me, his flirty eyes shining as he leaned against the garden wall with one hand. He looked like the epitome of a popular socialite, smiling as if the whole world centered around him. I needed his help, so I decided to treat him as though it did.
You're not speaking.
Are you friends with Miss Rose?
That is not at all what I expected you to ask me.
Duke Elegy was a frivolous character, but not thoughtless. He stood up straight and looked at me seriously. The corners of his mouth were still playful, though his mood had changed. Whether it is intentional or not, if you think Miss Rose will harm the people of Elisaria, tell me as soon as possible. On the day of my divorce, I noticed that Rose wore a completely inappropriate dress that did not fit the context of the situation. Clearly, there is no one near her who would give her any real advice, even if she was willing to learn. It would be less of an issue if Rose were to remain a concubine, but Aldrich intends to elevate her to queen. I don't care what she does in her own time, but regardless of my position, I do not think I could take watching her destroy the queen's seat and the people of Elisaria.
Why do you want this to be a secret?
I stared back at him. You do not need to know the reasons. Duke Elegy chuckled.
It is difficult for me to speak plainly like this, and yet it feels as though you've picked up a knife and are stabbing my conscience. As I was in the carriage, I was struggling with a dilemma.
Duke Elegy sighed and muttered something to himself. I stared at him with a raised eyebrow. What's troubling you?
Never mind. You have burdened me with your request. Unfortunately, it's not my place to interfere with Miss Rose and the Queen. Or I should say the former Queen. Where is Henry and where is the back entrance?
Why the back entrance? Are you trying to get me out of here?
Yes. And this has to be done secretly.
My eyes widened in surprise. After his refusal to protect Elisaria from Rose's whims, I figured he was no friend of mine. But why are you helping me?
Because you are the wife of a friend.
But of course, he was a friend of my husband's.
Fun, aren't I? You are allowed to smile, Ice Queen.
That's former Ice Queen, and thank you.
Was that praise I heard?
For helping me escape, yes. Your character is still up for debate.
Fair enough. Come now. Let us take you to your new kingdom.
I sat amidst my belongings, the ones most precious to me. It was true that I was not surrounded by fine silk and jewels, but these were the first things I had ever owned, in a place that, for the longest time, was the only home I had ever known. I pondered what to pack, eschewing items I would be able to easily acquire in the Celestial Isles. Instead, I opted for possessions that held sentimental value. My hands moved purposefully, selecting items carefully and trying to soak in all I could. I did not know when I would find myself back here again. Mother, please enter. My mother, dressed in her cotton sleeping robe, adorned with no makeup, looked beautiful. I felt grateful to be dressed down. It was nice to have a break from being queen. I was just my mother's daughter tonight. So, the preparations are set then? Yes, Duke Elegy will meet us at the side entrance and take me to the Celestial Isles, where I will reunite with Oscar. Both my children are at a kingdom away. I do not know what I have done to deserve such fates for you both. Mother, please, do not blame yourself. You raised me for a life of royalty. It is Aldrich who has cast me with such a fate, not you. And I have found Henry, my new king. I must move forward in the belief that this is the fate I deserve, because it is a good one. I only wish you would join me. I am old, and of no political influence. I must remain in my home. I have had enough adventures for one lifetime. Watching you and Oscar flourish is all I need now. I will miss you terribly. And so you will visit, as will I. My mother and I looked at each other tearfully and embraced. We didn't know when we would find our way to each other again, and the moment was tender. I felt like a little girl in my mother's arms. I did not want to let her go. We looked up to see King Henry at the door.
It is time, my queen. Duke Elegy's carriage awaits.
I walked over to the window and peered outside. Indeed, there was a black carriage at the side entrance. There was a driver ready to take us away.
Lady Troby, is there anything we can do to persuade you to join us?
There is not, my dear. Please, treat my daughter better than she's been treated here.
I will do so, if it takes me the rest of my life. Shall we, Your Majesty?
I suppose it's time. Come now, off you go. Your father and I will go for a brisk evening walk to make sure everyone thinks it is business as usual. With a deep breath, I followed King Henry away from my mother and towards the new life that awaited me. Ah, Duke Elegy. As we walked outside towards the carriage, Duke Elegy stared at me with a strange expression.
You look just like your parents.
Ah, yes. Do we not all take after those who created us? Duke Elegy opened the door quietly, and all the while eyeing the guards at the front entrance. I wondered how he planned to get me out unseen. I boarded swiftly, followed by Duke Elegy, who shut the door before Henry got in. What's the meaning of this?
Excuse me, I must prepare your seat.
He reached for a hidden latch and turned it, revealing a secret compartment under the bench I was sitting on. I was shocked to see there was a large, empty space inside. Is this meant to be my seat?
Yes. Sorry, but we must be thorough.
I looked down in astonishment as Duke Elegy pointed at the hidden space. Well, here goes nothing. I held my breath for what felt like hours as the knights meticulously inspected the inside of Duke Elegy's carriage before we departed. It was spacious, with minimal luggage, making the search perfunctory. Duke Elegy held his cane, and King Henry carried a modest brown leather bag, too small to conceal a person. The only additional occupant was the carriage driver. Once the king's knights stepped back and signalled clearance, Duke Elegy smiled and nodded at them. As the door closed, his expression shifted from geniality to a frown. Our journey had officially begun.
Aldrich sat at his desk, nervously shaking his leg. This was a chronic tic he had developed over the last several days. Who goes there? It is I, Your Majesty, Baron Lant. Come in, come in. It is done, Your Majesty. Can you be sure? I have seen to it that some money-hungry commoners were paid handsomely to take care of the body. They have deposited him in the Whitman River. Thank you, Baron. You are my most loyal secretary.
It will not be long before his absence is noticed, though. We must be ready to explain. We are lucky that he is a widower whose children do not live nearby. It has bought us some time.
In truth, his death is on the hands of King Henry, who manipulated my secretary the same way he manipulated my wife. The blame should be placed on the Celestial Isles, where another enemy, Oscar Troby, lives. That bandit would do anything to destroy those who are loyal to me. See to it that the proper men are the ones with blood on their hands. The Troby brother and the King of the Celestial Isles.
Very well, Your Majesty. Those disrespectful to your reign will pay.
The silver hawk who sat caged near Aldrich's desk let out a shrill screech, only to be met with Aldrich's pen being tossed directly at it. "Shut up!" The bird looked around frantically, desperate for an escape.
Excuse me, Your Majesty. I will return to my duties.
Wait. That is not all I have asked of you. As you know, I have been fixated on cancelling Bronwyn's remarriage. You were meant to lead the secretaries in exploring every conceivable avenue, delving into historical records and law books. Baron Lant wrung his hands nervously.
Yes, Your Majesty. It appears that despite any existing law, the High Priest holds exclusive authority over royal marriages.
There must be a precedent. Among the countless queens, surely one remarried.
20 years ago, the King of the Southern Kingdom requested a cancellation within 3 days. The High Priest refused. There is but one alternative.
Yes? Anything?
You could cancel your divorce.
Intrigued, Aldrich leaned forward. Is there any other way?
Not that I have come across in my extensive research.
Aldrich closed his eyes, contemplating the implications of cancelling the divorce. Cancel the divorce, cancel the divorce. It is not the furthest thing from my mind. However, the need for a successor due to Bronwyn's infertility is a major concern. If the divorce were reversed and I lacked an heir, the entire plan would be futile. I must speak with her. I will go to the Western Palace and seek clarity from her on this matter. What do you mean she is not here?
I mean she is not here. Now, if you do not mind, leave me in peace. You are no longer family.
Perhaps not, but I remain your king. Find her. Teeth clenched, Aldrich realized that Duke Elegy had pulled one over on him. He had stolen Bronwyn away during the mission to retrieve King Henry. Bronwyn has escaped. Find her. Secure every gateway and apprehend any woman resembling her. Aldrich's furious orders echoed through the palace grounds, setting off a desperate search for the missing queen.
My hiding spot appeared spacious from the outside, but within its confines, the space felt constricting. I hugged my knees, contemplating my current predicament. No longer a queen, but a fugitive. While the carriage glided seamlessly, the box, nestled near the rear wheels, subjected me to every bump and jolt. Each undulation caused my head to collide with the top, followed by my rear and legs crashing against the floor. After enduring several painful impacts, I managed to find a position offering a modicum of relief.
Majesty, are you all right? We will cross the border soon.
Instead of responding verbally, I knocked on the box's wall. The peculiar acoustics entertained Duke Elegy.
What? You're smiling too. The only difference is you're not making a sound.
Just when I thought we might have a bit of fun, their banter ceased abruptly, presumably due to an unspoken disagreement between King Henry and Duke Elegy. I bit my lip, and in exasperation, I sighed and shut my eyes tightly. I decided to go to sleep. Time would fly quicker that way. Apparently, my mind was more fatigued than I realized. I recalled closing my eyes and yearning for sleep. When the box lid creaked open, I blinked at the sudden rush of fresh air. King Henry grinned down at me.
It's like a scene from a myth. As soon as she opens her eyes and looks at me, I feel my heart pounding.
Blushing at the compliment, I unfolded my cramped limbs and shakily rose to my feet.
Careful now.
After standing, I smoothed down my rumpled dress, offering a sheepish smile. Have we arrived?
No, this is a border town. Welcome to Lux.
Exiting the box, I took King Henry's hand. Duke Elegy, conversing with the carriage driver, waved at my slightly dishevelled form. Surveying our surroundings, I turned to take in the border town. I was asleep this whole time we travelled here. Duke Elegy finished speaking to King Henry before approaching me.
This is as far as I can accompany you. Thank you for being good company, Your Majesty.
Thank you, Duke Elegy.
The merchants you see over there are reliable. They're waiting for you, Your Majesty, and will know how to take you to safety.
Henry turned to me with sadness in his eyes.
Be safe, my queen.
Wait, you're not joining me?
If we go together, it will look suspicious.
Suddenly, I regretted my long nap. What deliberation had I missed? This is dangerous. We must not separate. Seeking reassurance from King Henry, I looked at him.
Don't worry. It will be fine.
A woman approached and looked alternately between us. Who am I transporting? I raised my hand, but my heart was throbbing. I felt afraid. My long cloak and hood concealed my face, but if she asked me to take it off... Let's go. I turned to look at Henry, seeking reassurance, but he was already gone. My travel companion, Iseldis, was supposedly an important member of a merchant group, playing the role of a courtier for the high and mighty. She talked incessantly, proving her expertise in creating conversation without prying into my personal life. She knew that the people who rode with her had things to hide. What I quickly learned about her was that she loved to gossip, especially about the big, international scandal that was going on. I support the Queen. Why should she fall victim to the whims of her brutish husband? I tensed up, but my curiosity got the best of me. Interesting. Why do you support her? Some said she was being selfish, but who cares? It's not my business to judge. I've had a husband before. Sometimes the only way to save yourself is to be selfish. I nodded, showing my agreement. I wondered what Iseldis had been through. Suddenly, her role as a courier to the rich and well-connected seemed less interesting than what she was hiding. I agree more than you could possibly imagine. We kept talking until the carriage stopped for a meal. After eating, a new driver showed up, changed the horses, and Iseldis and I got back into the carriage. I thought we were on our way to the Celestial Isles, so I looked out the window, not worrying too much about Aldrich's knights chasing me. I was lost in thought when we suddenly halted. Where are we? Take care, milady. With that, Iseldis disappeared. I looked around, bewildered. What small village was this? I was standing alone in this strange place when I saw someone approaching on horseback.
Your Majesty.
Henry, when did you get here?
I got here a little earlier.
How did I miss you along the way?
Our paths did not cross.
He reached out his hand.
Do you know how to ride a horse?
I nodded my head yes and took his hand. As soon as I got on the horse, Henry handed me the reins and I took off. It had been ages since I was permitted to ride freely. My hair blew in the wind and I felt uninhibited. My new king sat beside me on the horse, bewildered at my adventurous spirit.
Your Majesty, you are going too fast.
King Henry, holding onto my waist, sounded a bit worried, and I turned and smiled. I love this. Against my will, memories of riding with Aldrich crossed my mind, but I pushed them away. King Henry was strangely quiet. Are you frightened?
Yes.
Should I slow down? I looked back at him with concern, but he shook his head. I felt his chest shift against my back. With the swift movement of the horse, our undulations were almost sensual. It was the kind of physical intimacy I had longed for from him for ages. But now that it was happening, just us in the open road, I became self-conscious. I squeezed the reins tighter. He gripped my waist tightly, urgently. There was no space between our bodies. Henry?
Your Majesty?
You can loosen your grip if you'd like.
If I let go of you, I fall.
I will slow down then.
I am too scared to release you.
It seemed I was the only one feeling self-conscious. What was wrong with me? Is it because I had Aldrich on my mind? I sped up, trying to ignore our closeness. King Henry's grip only tightened. Eventually, he moved his hands from my waist and placed them over mine on the reins. This meant he was no longer gripping me, but we were riding together in unison. His thighs gripped my backside, and I felt his breath hot on my neck. I forced myself to look straight ahead, biting my lip. Perhaps we should find a carriage. Iseldis seemed quite capable.
I heard you like riding horses.
I also like carriages.
But horses are faster, Your Majesty.
Why not get another horse?
It would be hard to get one now. And even if we did, stopping for one would take too long. The Celestial Isles are just a bit further, and night is coming soon. Are you feeling sick?
I could not admit that I was embarrassed by the feel of King Henry's chest, arms and hands. Although my body was melting into his, my mind was not there yet. No, I'm fine. I swallowed my embarrassment and tightened my grip on the reins. We carried on in silence for a bit, when he finally broke the silence.
I hope you're looking forward to seeing your room, Your Majesty. It will probably be complete with all gold finish by the time we arrive.
As much as I like gold, the room does not necessarily have to be gold. You did not have to do all that. All I require is a comfortable bed and a warm bath.
It is necessary. Even your husband should resemble gold. I want to shine for you. Lying next to me, you will see nothing but gold.
And what if I turn around to fall asleep?
Not a problem, Your Majesty.
He sidled up closer to me, his groin flush with my backside.
If you were in this position when you turn around, I will be pleased.
I had to focus on the reins to keep my composure. Every mention of husband, wife, or couple made my face heat up. But I did not protest. I was not used to speaking of such things so explicitly. But I was to be his wife. I did not stop him.
You do know that there is no Queen's Palace in the Celestial Isles, right?
So where will I sleep?
There are 3 adjoining rooms on the same floor. The shared bedroom is in the middle, and the adjoining bedrooms on the left and right are the Queen's and the King's, respectively.
Why does it have that structure? No matter how good a couple's relationship is, sometimes one wants some time alone.
I assure you, Your Majesty, you will be very comfortable.
Finally seeing the border on the horizon, I sighed with relief to get out of this awkward position. But the tension rose again when I saw the carriages, the guards, and one of Henry's knights waiting just behind the borderline. I slowed the horse and crossed the border. When the horse came to a complete stop, 2 guards from the Celestial Isles approached and took the reins. Meanwhile, King Henry got off the horse and extended his hand to me. As I dismounted, the knight approached us.
Your Highness, I am sure I sent 2 horses. Why did you come on only 1?
You sent 2? When I stared at King Henry, he just shrugged his shoulders.
You must have made a mistake, knight. I definitely sent 2. There was only 1.
King Henry, calm as ever, looked at me. When our eyes met, he laughed with no explanation. The guards, who had come to escort King Henry, were trying to remain expressionless, but there was a clear indication of bewilderment on their faces.
They are very surprised to see in person the Queen they have only heard rumours about.
I don't think that's why. I can distinguish between surprise and discomfort. I smiled quickly, pretending to be calm. Understanding the situation, the Celestial Knight quickly opened the door of the carriage that had been prepared beforehand.
Please come in, Your Highness.
I bowed silently and quickly got into the carriage. However, even after I entered the carriage, the eyes of the guards were not easily erased from my mind. I wondered how I could be seen by the citizens of the Celestial Isles, and by the nobles of high society I would meet in person. And what about the people of Elysaria? How did they react when they found out I am to be Henry's queen? The view out the window now looked very different from Elysaria. I was relieved, as there was no possibility of Aldrich tracking us now. I looked up, lost in thought, and saw King Henry staring at me. He leaned in and covered my hand with his.
Majesty, you mustn't worry. Everyone loved you when you were the Queen of Elysaria.
I knew that he overestimated me. If that were true, I would not have been divorced. Though this comfort did not help, I showed my appreciation for it nonetheless, nodding with a smile. Thank you, Henry. I feel better. When we arrived at the royal palace and got out of the carriage, I was able to smile calmly at the sight of the crowds of courtiers, but my heart trembled with a strange tension. Their eyes looked up at me with a wide array of emotions: curiosity, concern, expectation, interest, disgust. I smiled and grabbed King Henry's arm, with the intention of making us look as elegant as possible. It seemed to have some effect, as the staring nobles stopped for a moment and then bowed respectfully. Before I knew it, I noticed that King Henry was leading me through the palace.
Welcome to our bedroom.
Oh, Henry, it's beautiful. I looked at the elegant room adorned in gold and marble. Green silk curtains hung, drawn open, with a spectacular view of the city. The landscape was filled with such beautiful colours: pastel houses, cerulean blue waters.
Sorry for how my people looked at you.
It is all right. I became used to strange stares when my husband brought home a slave as his lover.
It is not okay. I would do anything for my queen. I would even punish those who look at you wrong.
There are not many cases where a king has arbitrarily married.
That's true.
Besides, you brought home a divorced queen from a neighbouring country, not a young lady from the Celestial Isles, right? King Henry nodded, but his smile disappeared. His expression was not good.
You do not have to worry about it. There are many people who love the fact that Your Majesty the Queen of Elysaria has become our queen.
Really?
Of course.
As much as I wanted to believe this, I had seen with my own eyes that most of the people who welcomed us had bewilderment written on their faces. I smiled silently as I remembered their expressions. I reminded myself that it was okay to be nervous. It was a whole new environment. It would pass. I was the queen. But just when I was beginning to breathe more easily, another one of Henry's knights rushed into the room.
Your Highness!
Sir Ivar, what are you doing in here? I did not summon you.
You have acted too recklessly. You risked your life for a woman. You have betrayed the Celestial Isles.
I could feel the undercurrents of conflict and loyalty swirling in the tense atmosphere around us. Sir Ivar's posture was rigid, a mix of duty and defiance etched into his stance. He clearly revered Henry, but his protectiveness over his king had led him to speak out of turn. Henry's reaction, though tempered, was a simmering cauldron of suppressed anger.
She is but a woman, Your Majesty. Sir Ivar, how dare you speak of the new queen in that fashion? Does it not upset you that because of this foreign queen, you were detained in Elasaria?
I tightened my grip on Henry's arm, signaling him to put an end to this before blood was shed. As he glanced at me, the anger in his eyes struck fear down my spine, yet he seemed to understand my silent plea for diplomacy.
Sir Ivar, calm yourself. Put away your sword.
The knight could not help but obey Henry's command. He sheathed his sword and resumed his courtly demeanour. Sir Ivar gave Henry a slight bow.
Your Highness, I meant no disrespect towards Lady Bronwyn. My duty as the Royal Guard is to ensure your safety above all.
Your loyalty is commendable, Sir Ivar, but it must not blind you to respect and courtesy. Lady Bronwyn is now part of our realm. She is part of your responsibility. Lady Bronwyn's safety is my safety. Her honour is my honour.
Yes, Your Highness. My apologies to you, Lady Bronwyn, for my earlier words.
I offered a small, reassuring smile to Sir Ivar. Thank you, Sir Ivar. I understand your position and respect your dedication to King Henry's safety.
May I make one small request, Your Highness?
What is it?
According to tradition, the Queen's room cannot be used until the wedding.
Before Henry could respond, I quickly agreed. I will gladly abide by the rules here, Sir Ivar. May I see the room where I'll be staying?
Of course. We have prepared a room used only for distinguished guests.
For distinguished guests? I understand not staying in the Queen's room until the wedding, but I will not stay in a guest room.
I have a room available downstairs in my corridors. Why don't we prepare that one?
As Henry made his suggestion, I heard footsteps approaching from down the hall. I turned my head to the sound and saw a lady in a blue dress approaching. I turned to Henry and whispered quietly, "Who is she?" "Welcome, Lady Bronwyn. I am Catherine, Queen of Wharton III, Henry's brother." The former queen smiled warmly. "I overheard part of your conversation as I approached. I'd like to offer an alternative residency. Why don't you stay in the Queen's detached palace?" I nodded graciously at Catherine, feeling a mix of relief and suspicion. Her offer seemed like a welcome escape from the current standoff, yet I couldn't help but question her motives. Nonetheless, I chose to respond graciously. "Your offer is most generous, Catherine. I am grateful to your hospitality." Henry, standing beside me, did not hide his displeasure.
Bronwyn, are you sure? Staying in the Queen's detached palace hardly seems like the most fitting solution.
We must respect the traditions of the Celestial Isles. Sir Ivar seemed relieved by this turn of events. His rigid posture relaxed slightly, and he nodded.
Yes, the Queen's detached palace would be most suitable for Lady Bronwyn. That would certainly be an appropriate arrangement, Your Highness. If you're comfortable with this, Lady Bronwyn.
I am. Thank you for your kindness, Catherine. I accept your invitation. Catherine's smile widened, a gleam of something unreadable in her eyes. It will be my pleasure to have you. I've already ensured that the detached palace is ready for your arrival. As we prepared to leave, I couldn't shake off the feeling that this was more than just a simple gesture of hospitality. I glanced at Henry, who was watching me with a mix of concern and admiration. In the hushed corridors of the palace, Catherine and I walked side by side. The weight of impending changes and unspoken expectations hung heavily in the air. Lady Bronwyn, may I ask, is the rumour true? What rumour? I heard that as soon as you were divorced, you agreed to marry His Highness. That's correct. Oh my, that was quite swift. I could see the wheels turning in her head, a mixture of surprise and something akin to admiration in her eyes. But then, as if a cloud had passed over her face, her expression shifted to one of profound sadness. Catherine, are you all right? Yes, what do you mean? You seemed troubled just now. Catherine hesitated, then offered a small smile. It's nothing, really. Old memories, perhaps. We continued our walk in silence until a courtier crossed our path, greeting Catherine with an unmistakable warmth.
Good day, Your Highness.
The title struck a chord in the air, and I observed Catherine's reaction closely. Please, you shouldn't call me that anymore. The courtier, unabashed, replied with a bright smile.
But, Your Highness, you've continued to fulfill the role of a queen. The new queen is from afar. Can she love our land as you have? To many here, you are still our queen.
Catherine's smile faltered, but she maintained her composure. Thank you, but we must all embrace change. Lady Bronwyn is now your queen, and she deserves your loyalty and support. The courtier nodded, though his expression remained wistful. As he walked away, I felt the weight of his words and the challenge they represented. Earning the trust and loyalty of the people here wouldn't be easy. Thank you for handling that with grace. I hope the people here learn to embrace me. It will take time, but patience and genuine care will go a long way. Her words lingered in my mind as we approached the detached palace. In the quiet ambience of the corridors, Catherine's voice carried a note of concern as she addressed me. I hope their words didn't distress you too much. I hesitated, pondering her question. Her kindness was evident, yet the situation was more complex than she perhaps realized. They're just accustomed to you. It's touching how loyal they are. Indeed, throughout our encounter with the courtiers, their preference was clear. They praised Catherine, still addressing her as queen, while I was perceived through a lens of skepticism and perhaps even disdain. I recalled the whispers and veiled glances in my presence. If I were not there, would they speak of me with respect and loyalty as they did of Catherine? Or with the disdain barely concealed? They were loyal and good to Catherine, no doubt, but their loyalty to me was yet to be tested. Would they be as supportive and kind to a foreign queen who had stepped into their world so suddenly? They're good people. They feel sympathy for my situation, but I'm certain they will soon come to accept and respect you as their queen. I understand. Thank you, Catherine. I appreciate your support. A troubling realization began to dawn on me as we reached the detached palace. The situation mirrored my past experiences with Rose. Just as she had been initially received suspiciously by the nobles and slowly accepted into their lives, I now found myself in a similar position. The irony of it was not lost on me. The roles had reversed, and now I was the outsider looking in, striving to find my place in a world that seemed to resist my presence. Tell me, Catherine, do you wish for the courtiers you appointed to remain in their positions? Yes, Lady Bronwyn. They are loyal and hard-working. I fear that if they were dismissed because of the transition, it would be unjust to them. Inside the resplendent interior of the detached palace, Catherine's request hung in the air, a delicate balance between preservation and challenge. Her eyes, wide and earnest, conveyed the depth of her concern. I understand your concern, Catherine, but you must see the predicament this places me in. They are your appointees, likely loyal to you. How can I be certain of their loyalty to me, their new queen? I hadn't considered that. But believe me, they are good people. They will serve you well. It's a delicate balance, Catherine. I cannot ignore the loyalty they hold for you. However, I cannot dismiss them without cause. Perhaps there is a middle path. What do you propose? We could retain them for a trial period. It would allow me to assess their loyalty and dedication firsthand. It would also give them the opportunity to prove their allegiance to the new reign. However, I will only keep those courtiers who work in places where there is no contact with me. Where there is no contact with you? Catherine's expression darkened. The people who worked in the places the Queen frequented were certainly the ones sharing information with her. Yes, I won't dismiss the others completely, but I will change the location of their services. I see. It seems I may have asked too much of you. I apologize.
When Catherine got back to her chambers, she shared Bronwyn's plans with her ladies-in-waiting. Lady Ivy, with a protective glint in her eye, asked,
But Lady Catherine, surely there must be something we can do. No, my dear friends, the throne has passed to another, and along with it my time as queen. To cling to that which is gone, it would be unbecoming, and it would not serve the Celestial Isles. But Your Highness, you cannot simply allow her to overshadow your legacy. You've done so much for this kingdom. My legacy is not for me to guard. The people, the history, they will remember as they will. Besides, it is not for me to stand in her light. She is now their queen, and she deserves the chance to make her mark. She will be keeping an eye on me as I will be on her. But she's a foreigner. The courtiers, they still hold you in such high esteem. They may not accept her. That may be true, but it is their journey to embark upon. Mine has reached its shore. My role now is to support the transition, to ensure that the Celestial Isles continue to thrive, even if it's no longer under my reign. It's unjust, Your Highness. She steps into your shoes as if it were mere child's play. There must be something that can be done. Can't you remarry, perhaps, or find a new role, a new purpose?
Catherine pondered for a moment.
Remarriage is not so simple.
Catherine looked at each of them, her eyes now glistening with unshed tears.
Thank you all for standing by me, through the rise and fall. That is the Queen's true crown.
In the grand hall of the Celestial Isles, King Henry stood tall and authoritative before his gathered officials and courtiers, his expression a blend of resolve and slight irritation. The air was thick with tension, each courtier keenly aware of the delicate situation unfolding. It seems some of you are struggling to grasp the reality of our situation. Lady Bronwyn, my soon-to-be wife, is not some mythical creature to be gawked at or whispered about. She is a woman of unparalleled grace and intellect, a queen in her own right. The arrival of Bronwyn had indeed stirred a whirlpool of curiosity and skepticism. One of the courtiers, trying to navigate the tension, spoke up. Your Highness, it's the suddenness of it all. The Queen of Elsaria is now our queen. It's a shift that we are still trying to comprehend. I understand the suddenness may be jarring, but let us not forget the respect and honor due to a queen. Bronwyn's status and her capabilities demand nothing less. The room fell silent, save for the faint shuffling of feet. It was then Marquis Kentridge, a man of high standing and a relation of the former Queen Catherine, found the courage to voice his concerns. Your Highness, we acknowledge Lady Bronwyn's qualities, but the people, they still hold Catherine in high esteem. To them she remains their queen. It's a delicate balance to maintain. Henry's patience was wearing thin. Stepping forward, he pointed a finger directly at Marquis Kentridge, his voice rising with each word. Then let this be clear. Those unable to accept and respect Queen Bronwyn's rightful place beside me will find themselves at odds with their king. I will not tolerate any disrespect towards her, be it from family or foe. The message was unmistakable. Adapt to the new order or face the consequences. In that moment, the hall, once buzzing with whispers and conjecture, fell into a hushed reverence, a collective understanding settling over the assembly. The era of Queen Bronwyn had begun, and with it, a new chapter for the Celestial Isles.
As I sat in contemplation in the quietude of my new quarters, a sudden, unexpected knock at the window pulled me from my thoughts. Rising from my seat, I approached the window with a sense of curiosity. The last thing I expected was a visitor at this hour, let alone at my window. Could it be Majesty? I opened the window gently, and to my astonishment, there stood Henry, his presence as commanding as ever. In his hands he held a bouquet, but it was not an ordinary one. The flowers were glistening, each petal catching the moonlight in a dazzling display. Upon a closer look, it appeared they were not flowers at all, but gemstones. A bouquet of jewels. What does this mean?
You are now the Queen of Jewels. The Celestial Isles is the international jewel capital. Yet the whole kingdom does not hold enough gems to have you sparkle the way you deserve.
Silence hung in the air. I was embarrassed at the extravagance of the gift. It was all too much at once.
Don't you like jewels?
No, it's not that. I feel more deserving of a bouquet of flowers, something simple amidst the chaos. Henry chuckled at my response, endeared at my discomfort at the finer things. He pointed to some decorative petals among the sparkling jewels.
It's also a bouquet of flowers. We are now husband and wife, Majesty. Please, accept it.
I reached out for the bouquet and held it delicately. They're quite stunning. Thank you, Your Majesty. Come in. Do you usually enter your palace through the window?
Ah, just a childhood habit. Those die hard for me. But I am king now, and you are my queen. And speaking of which, I want to make it clear to everyone that you are my wife and the queen of this palace. The incident with Sir Ivar will not occur again.
King Henry, there are things you can help me with, but there are others I must do for myself. I put the bouquet down on the table gently and reached for his hands.
That's fine. But if there's anything I can help you with, don't hesitate even for a second to tell me.
Thank you. I do need something.
Anything. Just tell me what it is. Your wish is my command." The next day, King Henry sat in his opulent study that was adorned with scrolls and fine documents. He looked stone-faced, and Marquis Clifford, his late brother's most trusted secretary. Since Haxon had still yet to return from Elisaria, he decided to place faith in the man his brother had sworn by for the entirety of his reign.
"He will tell you the truth, whether you like it or not,"
Henry remembered his brother saying of Clifford. Indeed, the old secretary looked back at him in incredulity at what he had just requested.
"Are you truly suggesting the appointment of Sir Ivor's sister as a lady-in-waiting, after how he treated the Queen?"
"It's a temporary appointment. We await 2 ladies-in-waiting from Elisaria, who are currently delayed."
"Even if it is only a temporary arrangement, the proposal is rather audacious. I fear we invite more dissatisfaction, especially from Lord Oscar. If he finds out his beloved sister is being mistreated, we will make an enemy of someone we cannot afford to have working against us."
Come to think of it, it is strange that I have not seen Oscar yet since returning. I do not believe he has greeted his sister, the Queen. I am actually quite shocked now that I contemplate it.
"I presume he is concerned about posing an inconvenience to the Queen. Forgive me for reminding you, but Lord Oscar does not boast an impeccable reputation."
You're right, Clifford. I should take measures to amend his standing. Perhaps the wedding will be a good opportunity to showcase the value of the Troby family to the Celestial Isles. We must move quickly on the arrangements.
"Oh, who is handling the matter of the wedding?"
Ordinarily, the Queen handles such matters.
"Your Majesty, if Bronwyn were to prepare her own wedding, high society would eat her alive."
Then perhaps Catherine could assist.
"Catherine is no longer the Queen."
Their expressions darkened.
"Whether Bronwyn orchestrates an extravagant affair or opts for simplicity, it is likely to be met with some form of criticism."
What alternative remains? I can take it upon myself. As the king, no matter how grand the wedding, it will never be considered too extravagant. And, at the ceremony, I will declare myself emperor.
Then Bronwyn would become the first empress of the Celestial Empire, overshadowing any negativity with the glory of her new title.
Exactly. But there is much to consider politically.
Indeed.
It is my duty to strengthen our military force. I loved my brother dearly, but King Wharton was a weak man by nature, having spent most of his time sick, and under weak authority, a country becomes weak. And there is the question of re-strengthening the power of magic in the Celestial Isles. How is young Skylar, the student who lost her magic?
Distressed. It will take quite some time to restore her magical abilities, as you requested.
Marquis Clifford shifted uncomfortably.
Your Highness, must we really restore Skylar's magical abilities?
Of course. Why wouldn't we?
It is quite expensive. Besides, the girl is from Elisaria. Returning her magic means returning it to Elisaria.
It's only one person. Just do it. It must be done.
I fear you are using your resources irresponsibly.
In that case, I will task Haxon with the job, if you refuse to serve your king.
How will you task a man with something when he has not returned to serve you, Your Highness?
He will return. He is simply throwing a childlike tantrum because of how many times I had him fly back and forth across the seas. That bastard is just looking to be a thorn in my side.
Has he ever taken this long to return, in such an important time?
I suppose not. Look into his whereabouts, Clifford. Bring him home. He is needed here. Aldrich paced restlessly while awaiting tidings of Bronwyn. Despite the passage of time, no news had reached him. Rose watched him anxiously, yearning for his attention and love. The joy she felt at his divorce was overshadowed by his concern for the deposed queen. Even his promise to elevate Rose to queen seemed forgotten.
You mustn't worry, Your Majesty. Bronwyn's reputation is damaged beyond repair. Everyone has rallied behind Your Majesty. I, for one, am happy she's gone to the Celestial Isles.
Rose leaned forward to share the next bit of news.
I have heard rumours that she left as if she were fleeing. She's been humiliated.
Aldrich ceased his restless pacing, glanced at Rose, and spoke. Who informed you of this?
Duke Elegy informed me.
The mention of Duke Elegy elicited a distorted expression from Aldrich. Convinced that Duke Elegy had aided Bronwyn's escape, he strove to contain his anger. Avoid further meetings with Duke Elegy.
Why, Your Majesty?
He is not the person you believe him to be. Rose, unaware of Aldrich's involvement with Duke Elegy, misunderstood. Thinking Aldrich was jealous, she reassured him.
You needn't worry, Your Majesty. It is you that I love.
Aldrich, confused, looked at Rose with bewilderment. She felt her stomach turn as she realized that he was not as easy to charm as he had once been. What?
Duke Elegy is just a friend.
Right. Aldrich, realizing the misconception, chose not to correct Rose. He sat on a nearby couch, forcing himself to focus on the matter at hand. I came here to discuss plans for our unborn child, yet our discussions have been weighty. Shall we commence?
Yes, Your Majesty.
The night held a quiet stillness. Sir Ivar, captain of King Henry's royal guard, sat in his family home after receiving a letter sealed with the king's mark from Marquis Clifford. Matilda, his sister, entered the sitting room sleepily. She had not been expecting him.
Hello, Ivar. It's been a long time since you last came to visit.
I'm here to deliver this.
He handed Matilda the letter sealed with the king's insignia.
What's this?
It's the king's command for my sister to be the new queen's temporary lady-in-waiting.